Welcome to Coffee with Tough Souls,
the
April-May edition. Cheers.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Cheers.
So quick on the coffee. He's like, give me this.
It is the point of these videos.
To drink coffee.
For me.
This is actually our fourth time trying to record this video. So, April-May.
Yes. 2022.
2022. That is the time period that we're speaking about in this video.
Yes.
We actually didn't do all that much this month, or in that time, except for the fact that we moved into the house that we live in now.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yes. So in the last Coffee with Tough Souls video, we had just built this couch, I think.
Yeah,
and
we literally, the only piece of furniture was this couch.
This
you moved the camera
corner.
any other place, there was nothing.
Yeah. Whereas now we're actually living in the house. It is not 100% done, but
No.
you know.
Yeah, the minor things like, you know, there's no bathroom or kitchen sink or any other plumbing. But it's fine.
It's fine.
We're good.
And
we lived in a tent for a long time. This is better.
This is very true.
Yeah.
Very true. And also, what I've noticed from like friends and people who've commented is that we kind of say, oh yeah, we still have this and this to finish, and they all say, but yeah, we were the same. Then once we moved in, it's been 5 years, and those things are still there, not done, which has been. I've heard that so many times now that it is the extreme motivation to actually get those things finished by the end of this year.
Yeah. Like we've literally been living here 2 months now, and we still don't have a bathroom. So.
But it's on the way.
It's on the way.
Technically, all of the bathroom supplies are in a pile under the stairs, so we have everything. They're just not connected together.
Anyway, we're very excited to be living in our house now.
Yes.
We recently put a bunch of gear storage together. We actually have a place for all of our hiking gear. Which is the first time we've ever had it. Yeah. Literally never had this before.
No.
We have like a nice place where it's neat and tidy, and all of the climbing stuff is in one place, and the wetsuits are like in a nice orderly heap. But it's great. It's so much better than we ever had before. Like for the last, I don't know, several years, it's just always been in a pile somewhere.
Well,
or like,
the thing is that
we'd have like stuff just in the bag from the last time that we were out.
Especially because we'd spend 6 months like actively hiking, so then we'd have to store what we weren't using in friends and family's houses.
Yeah.
And then we would be not hiking, be working for the winter. And then kind of try and gather as much of the stuff that we've kind of scattered in different houses into one place again, and then so anyway, it's really, really exciting. This was the whole reason that we wanted a house, really.
Pretty much, it was genuinely just to
base.
have a place to put up all of our stuff and not have to think about it.
Yeah, the goal of having this house is that we can go on adventures and then have somewhere to always come back to.
Yeah, at 4 a.m, like desperately needing a shower. This is the thing, we need a shower. But then we're good. So it's really, really exciting. I don't want to like skip past it, but obviously it's not what you watch the channel for. Yeah. But it's really important to us. Yeah. And it's just something that we like. It's such a big achievement. So I'm really pleased. Yeah. 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 Anyway, that part over. Patting ourselves on the back. It's in the past now. Although the next one we will talk about plumbing. But we did do some other things. Yes. In April and May. Yes. One of those things is a minor thing. Ellie ran the Paris Marathon. Yeah. Very small. It's more impressive that I came along and
took the metro to so many stops to try and meet me at all the different points.
Honestly, it was actually a killer. I don't speak French at all. It was really hard.
We have a full video about that I'll link below. That was a really, really interesting experience because I think first off I got into running for kind of trail running, and I think a lot of people normally kind of start on road running and then transition to trails. So for me to start with trails and then try and transition back towards road, I realised that I love trails and mountains and the outdoors and not roads, which is fine. But yeah, roads don't inspire me.
Yeah. So back to trail runs. But good to have done you know, like, because it's like you'd run a marathon before. You'd obviously run ultras before as well, but you'd run like a marathon around the lake near us before.
Yeah, on the road.
But you know, you say that to people and they're like, okay. Yeah. And you're like, oh, I did the Paris Marathon. And they're like, oh, I get this. Yeah. So it's cool for the recognition as well as. I mean, it was also cool to go to Paris and run past the
Eiffel Tower and you like started and finished at the Arc de Triomphe. So like,
it's pretty cool.
It's pretty amazing. Also, Paris is quite a flat city.
Yeah, so that's probably a pretty easy one to do.
Definitely benefited from that.
Yeah. Nice job in doing a marathon.
Thank you.
Another one.
Job in doing so much metro.
It was so hard.
After that, we headed to Tipperary and did a week of county high points, kind of like a big week of.
Yeah, we did a bunch of high points or we attempted to do a bunch of high points, and then we actually only kind of got 2 videos out of it.
Three.
3 videos? Oh yeah, I forget because the Kildare one's like this tall.
Yes. Which was a really, really fun week.
Yeah, it was nice to be able to go and do that. Ellie literally had to force me away from the house in order to go and do it because just trying to get it over the line.
We had just moved in and I was like, okay, you promised me, we move in.
It's like, but we don't have a kitchen.
We can go outside.
Yeah.
And I guess this will come up when we eventually get to make a video about the high point, but we went to do Mount Leinster, which is the high point of Carla?
I'm gonna say probably,
yeah. I think it's a dual high point.
It could be Kilkenny.
No, Kilkenny is Brandon Hill.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I think it's Carlow, Wexford, dual county high point.
Anyway, we went to go do Mount Leinster. It's quite a nice, easily done high point as well. There's a road the whole way up to the top if you choose to do it that way. And we walked right past the bottom of it on the South Leinster way. But it turned out that as we were driving up to Mount Leinster, it was on fire. So we didn't do the high point.
No. And as we drove away, we had fire trucks drive past us. So extra glad that.
Yeah. Oh my God, could you have imagined? Like it wasn't. There was like smoke going. Like it was near the mountain, but it was kind of like
one side of the mountain was burning.
Yeah.
And in one way, when you're there and you're ready, you could make the argument of I will just go the other side of the mountain. But then you also kind of realise how stupid and foolish that sounds to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew how stupid and foolish it sounded, but Ellie really wanted to do it.
No, I just stood there being like, this is like, what are the chances?
Yeah, and it's literally like 10 minutes from the bottom to the top of that thing, and you're like, oh, we could just do it.
We've also...
and then just imagine fire trucks like driving past you, and you're like,
Yeah, no, it would have been incredibly stupid of us to go up when it was on fire.
Yeah, so we didn't do that.
No.
Even though it really sounds like we did actually do it, and now we're covering for ourselves. But no, we didn't do it.
And also since then, we've been talking to friends of ours, and we've found out about a nicer route. Way up. Up the mountain. So we won't just be walking up this. In fairness, it looks like a very impressive road. It looks like it's this steep.
But I'm excited not to have to walk a road to get to the top.
So we found a nicer route for that. So, which was kind of one of the goals of
doing the high points.
Version of the county high points.
Yeah, we didn't want to just do the
fastest way up.
Get in and out kind of a thing.
Yeah. We wanted to do like a nice way of hiking each mountain, which I think like set in the Sagart and Roscommon we found a nicer route. Also, I think the county high points have just become a way more popular thing in general because we've had 1 or 2 people say, oh, wait until you get to Cornhill or something, but they've actually kind of like redeveloped it and there's like a lovely trail around it and stuff. So I think we're doing it the county high points at quite a good point.
Yeah, I also just really enjoy the high points, not just because it's a list to tick off, which is my favourite thing ever, but I just think like it's very accessible.
Yes.
Nearly all of them have been really accessible. Galty Moor has been like maybe the only one where you properly need to work at it to get up there.
Knockmealdown Mountain as well in the.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, I think. As we go, like, so on our...
In fairness, we have done more of the easy ones and less of the hard ones. But
So on our website and in the blog posts, for the high points, we have them classified as like easy, medium and hard. Now that was just kind of a 1 to 3 scale. It's not going to be exact, but the kind of way that we're defining those is easy is a very well defined trail of a high point that's not that high, something that anybody could kind of do, that you could possibly take a all-terrain buggy or you know, so that kind of includes Mullaghmeen, Cornhill,
there's plenty.
Yeah, they're kind of easier.
Yeah.
The medium ones are then kind of like half and half. So like you need a little bit of effort. It's going to be a little bit of exertion, like a basic level of fitness, but still you're very, very unlikely to get lost. There might be a couple of sections where it's more like traily as opposed to kind of, or like slightly off trail. So that was more kind of like Brandon Hill. And then our hard ones are ones that are actual kind of mountains, and you would want some outdoor experience before going and doing, which is the Galty Moors and the Knockmill Downs, and I'm assuming Wheelry and
Carrington.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So exactly. Yeah. So like for some people, what we're classifying as hard, they as an outdoor person, they might not classify as hard hike, but
it's more in like in context with one another.
In context with the whole project. Yeah.
Speaking of which, we also went to the Mountain Views gathering.
Yeah.
So Mountain Views is a really great website that is really worth checking out if you're going to go outside in Ireland in general, especially doing any kind of hill walking or anything like that. It's the biggest community of hill walkers that I'm aware of in Ireland.
Yeah, or on the island.
And it's also a website that's been around for 20 years. It's like a pretty venerable sort of thing. They do a gathering every year. And we were at it this year. We'd been at it before. We gave a talk there.
Yeah.
But that was lovely. It's always great.
It's such a really nice community.
Yeah, it's a great community.
It has a real like family feel.
Yeah, it does. And one thing that's really cool that they have on the website is your local 100. So they're the 100 mountains, the tallest mountains near you. Yeah. Which I think is a really cool list that maybe I'll have to do some other year. But they've loads of different lists or challenges, different levels of accessibility and so on. Really worth checking out. Mountain Views.
And just in general, if there's a certain mountain you want to go up.
It's the most useful thing. Like if you want to go up some random mountain that's near you, you go on Mountain Views and it is like, this is the route.
There'll be 4 or 5 different people who have done 3 or 4 different routes. They'll describe like where. It's
very,
really,
very helpful.
really useful.
Something someday we might build something like that for the trails. That would be cool. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's on the way.
But while we were at the gathering, actually, we bumped into Helen Wallace.
Yes, from Mountaineering Ireland.
Yes.
And she gave us this book.
Yes.
Which I highly recommend.
Yes. So it's a coffee table size book.
Evidently, I'm not just like holding it really close to the camera.
Hence it being on our coffee table. But the information inside is like top class. So Helen has, I think, worked with 3 or 4 people on this book. We'll list some details. Yeah. To provide information on like accessing, I think, 100 or more different mountains across Ireland, which is fantastic because as we all know, there's a lot of private land in Ireland. So
it's great because of course it's done in partnership with Mountaineering Ireland. You can be sure that the route you're taking, the route that's described in the book, is a route you're allowed to go.
At the time of publication.
Of course, but it's also just a beautiful book. It's really, really nicely done. Really worth getting.
Especially so for us, because we had been kind of looking at like there's 1 or 2 high points that have questions around access. So we've been kind of like, well, we'll figure those ones out later. We'll just push those further down the list. But with this book, we actually now know routes up that are fine to take.
Which is excellent, very valuable for us. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. It's and it's not even very expensive.
No, it's not.
It's $25.
I think it's in the mid-20s if you're a Mountaineering Ireland member. I think it's a couple extra euro if you're not an MI member.
Yeah, but probably I would say one of the most valuable books you can get this year.
Yeah.
If you want to go out.
Yeah, I will be giving it as gifts.
Yeah, exactly. To everybody we know, basically. Yeah. That's actually quite a lot of money. But yeah.
So thank you, Helen, for
giving
us a copy of the book.
Oh, also incredible follow on Instagram.
Yeah,
just fantastic.
You want to learn all about the different amazing rare plants and stuff you'll find.
The link is below. But really, really, what we aspire to have our Instagram account, which you should also follow. Be like.
Yes. Yeah. Another running adventure I went on that was actually on mountains was the Galty Crossing, which was really cool. It was my first IMRA race, the Irish Mountain Running Association.
She's got a mug now and everything.
Yeah.
She carries it everywhere. She's like, look, I'm a mountain runner.
I actually have the Connemara, the Munster
one, yeah.
Yeah. So it was the kind of the length of the Galties, 32k, taking in.
Was it 7 peaks or 9 peaks?
Yeah, kind of most of the substantial peaks. We didn't go. Thankfully, we didn't have to detour out to Cush, but it went over Galty Moor, Galty Beag. We started in.
By we, she means her and a bunch of other runners. I wasn't there.
Yes, I started in Angelsborough. It was a town that didn't feel like a very Irish name. Anyway, and we went up past the Hag's Tooth and up. Is it Temple Hill? Anyway, I thought I was going to die when the run started.
Because the very beginning of it is just instantly straight uphill.
So steep.
Yeah.
It's the first run, race that I've gone and done where I literally knew nobody going to it, which was a little bit more nerve-wracking than I expected. Just kind of
to do it solo,
completely on my own. Yeah. So and the start was it was so steep, and to kind of. It's rated as a difficult race, so I think everybody who signed up was a very serious runner. So to have them all explode up the mountain, I was kind of oh no, maybe I've made a mistake. But no, once we got past that initial climb, it was then more kind of undulating, more stuff that I could deal with and didn't have to kind of slowly die as I went up the mountain. What was cool as well was it wasn't a waymarked race, so there was 10 different checkpoints along the way that you had to navigate to or between. So I had map and compass and GPX on my watch. And I actually really, really enjoyed that aspect of it, because I guess once you've spent a lot of time in the hills, it kind of becomes a bit intuitive as well. So I ended up being the 4th woman home, which is a cool thing to say. It was out of 8 women, so there weren't.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, but still, I'm happy with it. And I did as well as I did because of my navigation skills. The women who came behind me were definitely faster runners. And at first I was kind of writing that off a bit. I was I was just better at navigating, and then I kind of realised that's 50% of the race. So that was a really, really cool race. I really enjoyed that one. I'd like to do more of those, and that's one I can see myself kind of doing
every year.
It's some races I've done and it's been okay, maybe I'll come back in 5 years
when you're
if I'm still running and I've kind of and I've really progressed, then it'd be worth doing again. Whereas this one, I just had a great day out, and I feel 32k is a short enough distance that you can see yearly progression, and it's not kind of a huge big deal that you're training up towards anything that kind of marathon or more. It's a big thing, whereas this
What was your time?
5 hours 50 I think. So not speedy, but
Must have. I mean,
one of the guys I was talking to at the finish line actually said that this was his 3rd year doing it, I think, and each time he knocked an hour off his previous year.
Yeah, I bet though, because I mean, especially the first to the second year,
Yeah.
If you know what to expect, it'll be like a different experience.
Yeah. Actually, so at the very start, going up that insane hill, there's a guy he was like the sweeper, so he was making sure that nobody kind of got lost at the very, very start, and he was also collecting the checkpoints as far as Galty Moor, and so he's like kind of shooing us all along, and I'm kind of struggling up the hill, and he's very chill with the kind of the hands behind the back, you know, like barely running, but kind of giving me some tips on my uphill technique. We're chatting away and whatever, and he's like, oh, I'm rehabbing an Achilles injury at the moment, so that's why I'm kind of doing this. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Turns out he has the course record, and like so chill, down to earth, like lovely guy who I never got the feeling that he was judging me for not being as strong on the uphill, and there was, let's say less than 10 people who were kind of in a similar boat to me, so I could tell that to keep his own muscles kind of ticking over and stop him getting bored, he's kind of sheepdogging around us almost, like kind of bouncing between each person, giving them a bit of cajoling and encouragement, and then going, and then as soon as the kind of next checkpoint or the first couple of checkpoints were in view, he'd kind of trot up to it and make sure everything was okay up there, and just a super lovely guy. And I think that's what I really love about the outdoor community.
Yeah,
like those
I
kind
think
of
so,
moments.
yeah, like definitely, yeah.
So and the Pepsi that I drank at the finish line, I don't really like Pepsi, Coke.
You don't drink
stuff.
any soft drinks, really?
No.
Yeah.
That was the best thing I've ever tasted in my life. that sugar was the perfect amount of sugar. It hit me so
I don't think
well.
there's any sugar in...
No?
No.
Okay, well, whatever chemicals are in it. It was exactly what my body wanted. Anyway, that was a really, really cool race. I really enjoyed it. Really beautiful area as well. I think maybe you and I should walk that route sometime.
Yeah, we should walk it. I think that would be a really fun walk.
Yeah.
It'd be really pretty on a good day.
Yeah.
It's actually been, like, in fairness, I've been mostly focused on the house, but the weather also just hasn't been that great for going outdoors.
No, like it's been okay, but I feel like this summer weather hasn't really started this year.
Yeah, well, not yet.
No.
It's one of those things that, like, you know, when we were walking the trails full time every single day, I was like, oh, you know, it's very easy when you live indoors to see it rain for like 20 minutes, be like, oh, it's, you know, terrible weather outside, when actually it's just a shower and it's gone. And I can't decide if it's me being inside most of the time being like, oh, the weather isn't that great, versus like, you know, when we were walking and maybe it would rain for 2 hours and then the rest of the day it would be sunny and it'd be like, well, this is a nice day. Yeah,
that's true. Although I think I've heard from enough other people this year as well that they also don't think the weather is great. But anyway.
Well, now that we have the house, we'll be outside a lot more.
Yeah.
So. And the maybe the last thing that we did that month was we did a big old loop in Connemara.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a big loop, and actually one that we did because of this book that we already mentioned earlier on.
So part of the 12 bends. There we go.
Was this one? Yeah. Here we go.
Yes.
With our friends Helen and Matthew.
Yeah.
It was a giant loop. It's such a good book. So if I pop the map, this is the route that we took. I'd never really been in Connemara that much. Like, to be honest, so we did the Western Way, but the Western Way only kind of glances off the edge of...
it's kind of through more the Man Turks than the kind of 12 Bends side of Connemara.
And sadly, the Street Connemara has been closed for quite a long time. A lot of people still walk it, but we didn't at the time, and I think we're unlikely to walk a trail that's officially closed because of access reasons, and, you know, just...
Yeah, exactly.
You know, plus it's really long. So I'd never really been to Connemara that much, and going and doing this trail was, it's spectacular. It was really hard though. Possibly the hardest day I've ever had out in my life on the mountains.
So the 12 bends themselves are kind of in a funny, not quite star-shaped shape. It's like
it's like the radioactive symbol. There's three horseshoes, kind of all.
Yeah. So we did I think it's the Glencoaghan Horseshoe. It's the
biohazard symbol, not radioactive.
The southern facing horseshoe.
Yes.
loop.
Yeah. Like it's a ring of peaks.
Yes.
And the very last peak, like you descend back down really far, and then it's like a wall vertically up in front of you. It was hard. It was really, really hard.
Yeah.
But it was incredible. The sunset that we got.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were actually planning on doing the high point
the day after.
The day after, but couldn't move.
Yeah, especially if you're a kind of a long time follower of Tough Souls. Like Carl did hurt his knee kind of in the main Tough Souls project.
Yeah.
And I think that jumping onto that route,
doing a 12-hour hike, like from
yeah.
months of being in here, and you
yeah,
know,
yeah, because like so far this year we've done several kind of like
smaller things.
Yeah, smaller routes, and I don't think we kind of like worked our way up to doing that one.
Mm-hmm.
We just kind of like.
Also, I'm old now. I'm well into my 30s at this stage, so
You're barely.
Every day is a step closer into the grave, and those steps are difficult because of my knees. We just haven't really built up to stuff yet, and that was just like probably 3 levels above what I was capable of.
But it was an
unbelievable
loop.
Unbelievable, yeah.
Now, so like looping around through these mountains, there isn't a trail that you follow. It is just open mountainside, but absolutely amazing.
Highly recommended if you have the ability for it and the fitness for it.
Yeah.
I like to say, especially with the trails.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, anybody can walk any of the National Highway trails.
Yes.
With limited preparation.
Yeah.
This is not that.
No, this is not that kind of level.
Absolutely. You really genuinely want to be fit for it.
Yeah.
Because, people would often say, especially when we were walking the trails, oh, you must be so fit. And we're like, not really. Didn't really do anything for this. But if you were to do that every day, you get, whew, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, highly recommended.
Yes.
And now here is the sunset that we saw. Wasn't that beautiful? Yeah. Just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Finally, we got a bunch of Q&A questions to answer.
Yes.
We were going to do a full video about it, but here we are. So
we asked for some questions quite a while ago at this point, but we're still getting to it, so that's the main thing.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
On that note, the Tough Sounds Patreon-only podcast is still going to happen. Just with a house now. So we have a couple of questions.
Yes.
What's the first one?
So, what do I need to know about staying in Irish hostels? Do I need to bring a towel? How do these safe self-catering kitchens work? Can I cook a full breakfast and all that kind of stuff? From somebody who's only stayed in B&Bs so far, but would like to kind of move to hostels to meet other people when they're traveling alone. So I would say in Irish hostels, so it's yes to a towel, and
always bring a towel with you.
Yeah.
Just get a microfiber towel, bring it with you.
Yeah.
It's central facet of life. You're just gonna want to bring a towel.
Like some, I think will kind of rent you a towel for an extra bit, but not all. So I think it's kind of
just bring a towel with you.
Yeah.
Wherever you go.
Bed linen they always have. What you can get is like a sleeping bag liner sometimes. If you are somebody who runs really cold, so if you or if you just kind of want an extra layer, which so they can pack down super duper small, but not a necessity. As for cooking, you can cook.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single hostel out there in Ireland where you can't.
No, but as in
where you couldn't cook.
Yeah, so. And most of the ones that we've stayed in had more than one cooker. So you can fry up an omelette, you can cook whatever you want, and there was no qualms about that. If you're an early morning person, just kind of having the common courtesies of not being too loud while you do it. But no, definitely cook away. And we met some amazing people in hostels.
Mm-hmm.
Some like really, really lovely people along the way. So
they're also coming back now.
Yes.
A lot of them were kind of closed through COVID.
Yeah.
This is probably the first year some of them are open again.
Yeah.
Do support the Onega hostels if you can.
Yeah,
it's actually a fantastic organisation.
Yeah.
They work really hard to keep access to the outdoors cheap.
Yeah. I would say also earplugs and an eye mask.
Yeah.
Because you're going to find people that snore.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, more often than you would like.
It's nothing those people can do about
nothing
it.
Nothing those people can do about it.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I actually, as I think about it as well, the extra benefit of having a microfiber towel is that like after you've showered and stuff, especially if you're staying on the bottom bunk, you can then like hang it as like a screen. Yeah, privacy curtain, exactly. Yeah. Quite a few of them have private rooms as well, and they often have en suites, and then it's a thing. You kind of feel like you're staying in a hotel, but you're in a hostel.
Yeah.
Okay, next question.
Next question. Let me read it. Okay. Because I'm not going to go.
Now you're trying to hold it away from me.
Yeah, no. The old...
They're looking down the nose.
Yeah. I'd be interested in advice for beginner camping. Only camped once before, don't own any gear either except a sleeping bag, and would like to see if I enjoy it before investing in good gear. We do have a whole video series,
yes.
Hiking 101, that you could check out and see what you think there.
Any other related videos
Indeed.
below. I think in general, so there are some like campsites in Ireland that will rent you a tent. So
really? I've never heard of that. Wow, that's cool. That seems very handy.
Yeah, I think I came across a couple in the past few days researching different campsites in Ireland. So that would be one way to find. I think also there are one or two places that rent tents. I think like adventure.ie. Some of the kind of like outdoor places, maybe TP Adventures. I think they're both Wicklow based. Will rent camping gear.
Or borrow some off a friend.
Yeah, that would be ideal. If you have somebody you can borrow from.
The thing that I find difficult about this is if you spend more money on nicer gear, you're probably going to have a better time. That's what's it's a bit of a catch-22.
Yes.
If you have a more expensive and nicer sleeping bag, you'll have a better night's sleep, more than likely. Same deal for sleeping mat and so on.
And a tent. It's not the rule of thumb for everything.
No, for sure not. And I'm not saying spend all your money.
No.
It is just kind of a bit of an annoyance that's the way. So if you have a friend, you can borrow a sleeping bag off, or borrow a tent or whatever gear you need.
Yeah.
That's going to likely be the best way.
Yeah.
To go about it. There's also quite a big second-hand market for this type of thing.
Yeah. Facebook groups and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can possibly get some stuff for cheaper.
Yeah, and I think a big thing as well, just like in general for camping, is you're never really going to get the same quality of sleep you do as sleeping at home.
Yeah.
So it's more of you go for quantity as opposed to quality, or at least that's been my experience.
Yeah. It's genuinely very different to normal, like to sleep at home.
Yeah.
Very, very different, and I feel like you get used to it after like a week, and then it's hard to go back. Yeah. Honestly, for months I was like wishing for my sleeping bag and like my sleeping mat.
Closed feeling.
It's different.
Yeah.
I felt more rested sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, try and camp in a forest if you can, because the darkness really helps.
Oh yeah. During the summer when it's like bright, really late and stuff, then the only problem then is midges.
Midges, watch out for that.
Any other random quickfire advice?
Get to a nice campsite if you can. If you're looking to kind of just practice camping and see if you enjoy it, go for, in my opinion, an ACSI certified campsite. They're always fantastic.
Yeah.
I've never ever been to an ACSI campsite that wasn't good.
Yeah.
I don't actually know if there's an official list out there, but have a look for one.
Yeah.
The one that springs to mind for me, actually now off the top of my head, I don't quite remember if it is an ACSI certified one. But there's one on the very north tip of Loch Derg.
Yes.
That was just amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful campsite.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it. What are some of the best one-day hikes for an experienced hiker?
Ooh.
We've actually done a whole video about this one as well.
They're beginner hikes, not experienced hikes.
Fair enough.
Yes. So
okay, I guess we have an idea for a video.
The Galty Crossing route.
Galty Crossing route, good.
If you can kind of get a lift to one end, seeing it's linear.
Yeah.
The route we just did in the...
Probably every hike in this book we're not being paid to.
No.
We just think it's great.
Yeah.
They're like it's tough because a lot of the hikes that I would consider would be multi-day hikes. It's just my natural kind of.
Yeah. We're still kind of accumulating more day hikes
stuff. Yeah.
Depends on what kind of distances you can do as well. Like if you're somebody who's willing to do long distance, there are several of the trails that you could do in one day.
And as usual, it depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Same as when people are like, "Oh, what's the best trail?" It's very hard because there's a lot of different dimensions to it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, Galty Crossing is great. The Connemara Downs are also really, really great mountains that I feel like don't get as much love.
What's the best one-day hike you've done? Full stop. We've now had to cut out like 4 minutes of Ellie going,
I don't know. I quite enjoyed Glencoaghan. I think what's tricky is that like when I think back on some of my favourite hikes, it's also just kind of like it's more than just the hike. It's either like the people you're with or the weather you had or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like I did a really nice loop around Glencoaghan. I really enjoyed. I've been slowly ticking off all the peaks in the Connemara Downs. So I went up and did Knocknalugga, which is the right-hand side of the V if you're looking at the Connemara Downs from the Tipperary side.
It's the western.
Yes, exactly, the western side. That's how you do geography.
One of us makes maps. Don't know. It was just a thought.
How about you?
I should have been thinking about this after I asked you.
Yeah.
It's so difficult because there's different things that you enjoy on different days.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed doing the Dublin Mountains Way in a day.
Yeah.
That was really good. But to be honest, my favourite single day of my favourite single day of walking was probably running up for air last year, where I walked up and down a crap single hill. It was like 100 meters tall and 400 meters long. Up and down that 42 times in 12 hours for charity. That's probably, for me, that's the most standout day. You can only do it if you're really experienced, because it was a bad idea, but I really enjoyed that. That's the one that springs to mind if I think of best
exactly. It's kind of
yeah. Next question. For Ireland, which month would you recommend?
August.
Personally, I'm partial to a bit of January, but not for hiking, just in general.
The only person.
August is almost certainly the best month for hiking in Ireland.
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah. Like any time from May to September is typically the like decent weather period.
Yeah.
The weather changes so much here. But I think
and it really depends on where you're going as well.
Yeah.
As it is, Kerry, Donegal, that kind of place. There's going to be so much rain no matter what time of year you're there.
Yeah.
But August is probably the best month, and it's a bit late for the midges, so it's like you come into kind of off their worst season. So I'd recommend August. Yeah. Depends again on where you're going. If you're going to do the Kerry Way, the Dingle Way, it'll probably be the busiest in that month as well. Yeah. So it depends really.
Yeah. But I think June, July, August is our primary like summer season. Yeah. If that helps.
Will you two be thinking of doing mountain skills courses or other such programs for recognition? Yeah, we've actually already done mountain skills 1. Yes. We're planning on doing mountain skills 2, but it's best to do it in the winter because there's an overnight section to it, or like a night hiking section. Yeah.
So at the moment it's still bright at 11 here, and it gets bright again at 3 in the morning. So it's kind of impossible, or 5. Yeah. So it's kind of impossible for them to do the night navigation section.
Or it's just a lot more hassle.
I think I'd like to work up to my mountain leader. Probably just like...
Yeah, I guess the thing is, if we ever wanted to do, for example, if we wanted to guide walks or something like that, that's how we would have to... Yeah. It would only be sensible to do the qualifications. Yeah.
And it's been really interesting kind of doing that stuff because we have quite a lot of outdoor experience, but you also don't know what you don't know, and you don't know if what you know is of a standard.
Yeah.
So
indeed.
it's been useful to kind of do the first course and have your own kind of research about the other courses as well, and realize that I do know stuff.
Yeah, like I would never really want to bring people out. Right now, I wouldn't want to bring people out and be responsible for them.
Yes.
But that's more because I don't know that the stuff that I'm telling them is genuinely the best. Best practices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yes, basically, we are on the road.
Yeah.
To that.
There's a whole, if you're not aware, there is like a whole skill tree to fill out. It's both in Ireland and the UK, and then there's like a more Europe-wide standard.
Yeah, international standards and
exactly. Yeah. Here in Ireland, you do mountain skills 1 and 2.
Yes.
Then you do your mountain leader.
Yes.
And then you continue on to be like an alpine leader and all kinds of stuff, and then you just follow up the tree, and it becomes like a proper thing.
Yeah.
And you end up leading walks to crazy places.
Yeah.
Second last question. Next question. Hey guys, I'd like to know if you'd considered doing any of the trails in the US. I'm thinking of the landscapes we don't have that would be stunning. Yeah, so much. Everyone asks us this. It's just, for me, it's tricky because I think about doing them, and I'm like, what would be cool is if we did the Triple Crown, and then I'm like, oh, but visas. It's and then I'm like, what about doing the Triple Crown in 1 year? And it's just, to be like, we will go and do the Pacific Crest. We'll do the Coast to Coast or whatever it's called over there.
CDT.
Yeah.
Yeah. Appalachian.
Like,
we'll
they
look like absolutely amazing trails.
They do.
We would really love to do them.
Yeah. There's a whole different set of considerations to those trails versus any of the ones that we've done, and any of the ones we're likely to do. So it's more of a 5-year goal than a next year goal. Yeah. But we do intend to do them.
Or at least they're on the list. I think I think our list has about 5 lifetimes worth of trails.
Yeah, so, I'm still going to do all of the European routes, which is literally, and I'm not kidding, more than 12 years of walking. So if you walk every day.
But those would be really good to do, especially because they've become really, really famous, and I want to know how they compare to European hiking. Like,
yes, very much so, right? Because like we walked. A big part of the reason that we walk the trails here is because we did the Camino.
Yes.
Everybody knows the Camino, and we were like, how do the trails here compare? And it turns out they're kind of as good.
Yeah.
Different, but on a level, right?
Yeah.
But maybe the Appalachian Trail is like an unbelievable thing, or maybe it's
or maybe it's similar again. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just more famous, more people in the US, more walkers.
Exactly.
And also like more continuous. So it attracts a different kind of walker.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because each of these trails is like 4,000 or 5,000 kilometers. There's so much to it, and it never even occurs to me that you can just do it in parts. I just really want to do the entire thing. I have such a problem. But yeah, anyway, the short answer is yes, we absolutely are thinking about it. It's just probably a longer term goal. Yeah. Next question. Hi guys, would Mount Everest be something that you would hope to do someday? The answer to this one for me is no. I have honestly no willingness to do. It's kind of one of these things, like, for me, I really enjoy novelty. Novelty is like what drives me to do stuff. Novelty is why I wanted to do all of the trails. Novelty is why I want to do the Triple Crown in a year. Novelty is what drives me in general. And Mount Everest isn't very novel. I don't want to denigrate anyone who's done it. It's a lot of work.
Yes.
Regardless of how you do it, it's still very, very hard. You're taking your life in your hands. It's genuine risk. It just doesn't attract me in any way. I just have no real willingness to do it. I'd probably go to base camp. I think base camp looks amazing. And Camp 4 and all those places. It looks incredible. I just have real, like...
I think it's also, like, there are other mountains in the Himalayas that are just as amazing.
Sure.
That don't have the same kind of like environmental problems, possibly like risk factors. I don't know. It's a tricky one.
Plus, we just don't have the skills. like we're climbers, sure, but you know,
Yeah.
real serious mountaineering like we're doing
Yeah.
there, like expedition mountaineering. It's
Yeah.
just not something we know how to do.
No, so like if we were to ever consider going for Mount Everest, I feel like it would be after we've done
All of the Alps.
yeah, and then if we
Yeah.
if we do some summits in the Alps and realize this is the best thing ever,
Yeah, if
like,
we
if
fall in
this
love with doing that
somehow-
type of thing.
then we would progress that direction. But
Yeah, but not so much a goal for the moment.
no,
And unlikely to be a goal, I think, for me at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe we'll bump into Jason Black someday and he'll.
Yeah,
persuade
Jason,
us.
you know, get in touch. If you wanna carry us up, feel free. Yeah.
Great.
Cool. Okay. Well, I guess that's Coffee with Tough Souls April-May edition.
Cool. Great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. I'm serious. If you're a coffee company, please sponsor us. We spend so much money on coffee.
We spent so much time drinking coffee.
This is my 5th coffee today. Yeah. It's really annoying not to have a bathroom. As always, with all of our videos,
Yes.
we just couldn't do this without patrons. We wouldn't be living in this house without our Patreon. It wouldn't happen.
Yes.
It's Patreon has been an amazing, life-changing thing for us.
Yeah.
And
A huge
cannot
thank
thank you all enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially patrons who we've accidentally met in person and didn't recognise.
Yes.
Sheila. As always, we want to say a really big thank you to our patrons,
Yes.
and in particular in this video, we'd like to say a big thank you to names from patrons.
Oh, Marcus Kavanagh, Jen Carey, and Porkberry.
Yeah,
There you go.
absolutely. Huge thanks to all of you.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know, we've also got a lot of new patrons lately, and just
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys.
oh, it's so hard to describe how grateful I am for Patreon. So yeah, big thanks.
Yes. And, yeah.
See you in the next video.
Yeah.
We're about to go on a weekend trip for Ellie's birthday to go and do
Donegal.
a bunch of stuff,
Well,
or somewhere.
or somewhere.
Depends on what the weather's like.
Yeah. The weather's been so unpredictable
We
that
might just go surfing.
we're gonna wait and see. Yes.
Yeah,
But hopefully some adventures.
exactly.
Especially because my birthday last year was our first county high point.
I know. Yeah, I definitely, when we started doing the high points, I was like, oh yeah, we'll fly through this.
Yes.
We'll do them all in like 2 months, and they were still doing them.
We'll fly through them in the next 2 months.
Yeah, I blame the house. It's not my fault, it's the house. Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Okay, I think that's good. How did you?
Because I'm doing it. Yeah. You're looking. We gotta both look dead on the camera.
Oh God. Okay.
You.
I would to line it up.
No. That's not the point.
Okay.
Oh, we did it.
So
Good video.
Gonna hit you in the face.
Subscribe.